Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am working in my art journal. This is the Dilutions art journal. I love working in this, and today we're just going to do some kind of relaxing art. Actually, it might be fun to add over the top of this. This is kind of some leftover artwork that I have from some jelly plates. So I think we will kind of work with this as our base and see what we can come up with. So I have some different acrylic paint pulled out. I have a paint scraping card and some washi, and that's what we're going to get started with. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, I'm going to put you all on fast forward. Let's go. All right, today was definitely an I want to get messy kind of day, and that's what's going to happen on this art journal page. So I've picked out some washi. I'm just using this washi to mask off parts of the page. It's kind of like creating your own stencil, and I'm putting the washi down on my table first to take off some of the stick so that it will be easier to pull up when it's time to pull up that washi. But I'm just going to make a random pattern. There's not really any rhyme or reason. We're working with triangles, we're working with lines, and I'm just masking off parts of this just to create an interesting effect. Of course, there's already paint down on this paper, but it's also really fun to do this when there is nothing down and you just have white open space. But I decided to just go for it in here, and I'm wanting to play with paint scraping today. That's the plan. That's the inspiration I kind of woke up with, and it was one of those times where I just wanted to put color down on the page and kind of see what came. Sometimes I start my art journaling with a quote in mind. Sometimes I think of a focal point that I want to do on my art journaling page. Sometimes it's a technique. And in this particular case, I wanted to scrape paint on the page, and I wanted to do it a lot, and so that's what we're doing. I picked out some warm color paints that I have. These are the Dina Wakley acrylic paints. I have sand color, that's what went on first. Next is going to be carnation, then I'm going to add blushing, followed by magenta, and last will be blackberry. So we're going from this kind of sand color all the way to a dark purple, layering these on. This acrylic paint dries super fast. I love these Dina Wakley acrylic paints. I will definitely be investing in more as some of my older paints dry out. I just think these are really easy to use. I like how I can just squeeze them on the top of this card and get it on the page, and I'm just going to kind of work through. I want to know, when you art journal, what is your jumping off point? Like I said, mine changes. It's not the same each time. Do you have an idea in mind? Do you have a quote in mind? Do you have a process or a technique you're wanting to do? Are you kind of scrap lifting or imitating someone else? I would love to know what your inspiration is when you do art journaling pages. For me, it was just wanting to get messy, and this certainly, I mean, look, it's super messy. It's going to be a messy page, and I don't mind that. I find it very striking and interesting to see how all of these colors are layering. That blackberry, like, that's intense. That's an intense color. So I tried to put it around the edges more, but then I just went for it and put it in the middle. We're going to go for it on all of these. Okay, so that's it for the color. Now I'm going to knock back the color a little bit, and we're going to grab some white gesso. This is just heavy gesso white. I'm, again, putting it on my card. I told you I was in the mood to scrape, and we're going to scrape it through a stencil, not worrying about a ton of great coverage, just scraping it through the stencil, bringing in some of this bright white to the page, breaking up some of that heavier color. I love bringing the white in to balance that out. I'm going to do it in a few sections on this particular paper, and then actually end up scraping some white just without the stencil. I'm just working with dimensions, seeing what will come of it. Again, at this point, I have no idea what the focal point of this page is going to be. I'm just seeing what speaks to me as I create, and I just knew I needed a little bit of brightness, so we're going to add that in a few spots, adding it down here, just a little bit tidbit here. And then what happens is I just have a little bit on my card, and you know what, I decide I'm just going to scrape that in a few spots, knock down some of that purple just a little bit, and add that in. Next up is the fun and satisfying but slightly challenging part of removing the washi that I put down on the page. So that's what I'm doing. I like to remove it at an angle, peeling very slowly. I have sped this up a ton. I did have some tears in only one place actually where it leaked, but otherwise this creates an interesting pattern. There was that teal peeking through with some black in there, which is like not a typical color combination with everything else that's on the page, but we are embracing what is coming up from here. It's getting messy, but you know what? Sometimes the messy things end in really cool looks. And that's kind of what I'm trusting at this point. I know it looks messy. I know it seems to really not have a point so far, but we're just going to embrace what we have and kind of see what we can come up with. So I went to my collage stash. I have a whole stash of collage pieces, meaning things I've cut out from magazines, different paper pieces, things like that. And I decided to go in and see what I could find. And I found these two girls, and I thought that their outfits really complemented the colors. So I was like, we're going to go with that. That's in the same color scheme that I got going on. I wasn't a big fan of all of this black that was kind of coming through. So you know what? We're going to cover it up. We're going to make a little cluster here, use some old pieces, a little library card, a little doily, a little ticket, cluster that, and that will be where the title of my page will be. At this point, I'm still not totally sure what the title is going to be, but I know that this is going to effectively cover up part of the painting that I didn't really appreciate. So we're going to do that. I'm just seeing what pieces I have. I have these wax seals that one of the amazing cuties from Fussy Cuttin' Cuties created for Cutie Camp that I was not able to attend, but they sent me this awesome box full of a ton of goodies, and these little wax seals were in there. So I thought I'm going to pick some that are in those colors. We will add that down, and you can see I'm just adhering everything down on the page, and we're just playing with what we can find. Again, this is just like a different approach for me, not knowing, not having a theme, not having kind of a purpose, but really the purpose for this one was the desire to play with paint, to be creative, and to just see what comes out. So that's the plan. Let's put our ladies down on the page, and then I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to put down these seals. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure that those are going to stay, so we'll have to see how that holds up and if there's a different kind of glue that I might need to use to adhere those down. But I will definitely keep you updated to see how that goes. All right, so at this point, I'm looking at the page, I'm finishing this little bit. I'm trying to come up with a quote or a title I might want to add, and I feel like some of it is getting a little bit lost because there was already paint in the background. I like some of the colors of the paint, but I'm losing some of the cool design that was created with the washi tape. So I'm trying to figure out how I might be able to highlight that design in an interesting way. And the way I'm going to do that is by grabbing a white Posca paint pen. And I'm going to just outline with the white paint pen. It's going to be hard to see right here, but I'm going to outline each of the triangles, the quadrilaterals, all the shapes that are created. I started with the ruler and then I was like, nah, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to outline all of those with the white paint pen. It sets the shapes apart ever so slightly so that I can see them a little bit against some of the teal in the background, which I think is a cool look. And then eventually I'm going to add a little something extra to it as well. Something I always say with art journaling pages is that you have to just keep going. Don't stop until you love it. Now, sometimes that means you have to take a break and come back to an art journal page, but a lot of times I think people get stuck in the middle of an art journal page, meaning they get lost. They don't know what to do next. Everything looks messy. It's just not the page that they were anticipating, and a lot of times it just means it's not done yet. There's all kinds of things you can do to kind of retake an art journal page, adding white, knocking back some of the colors, adding a little bit more purpose, a new focal point, something like that. Now I'm going around all of the edges, adding this kind of stitching look. Of course, I'm super into this little dash line stitching. I've been using it in my planner. I've been using it in my journaling. I've been using it in now my art journal. It's just something, I love that little edging look. And to me, it looks like these are sewn on. And then that is what led me to the title, because I feel like these were sewn on. These were pieced together. They look messy, but they're coming together to make something cool. And I think that those ladies are definitely something cool. So I decided that those ladies were definitely designing a life that they loved. They were piecing things together out of the messy, out of the wild, and putting it together in a life they love. And that's where I came up with the title for this particular entry. Once I add in my title, then this art journal entry will be done. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. Like I said before, I will link the supplies that I used down below in the description box so you can check those out. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you so much for your support this month. It really means the world. If you are interested in finding out some more about Patreon and all of the things that we are doing over there, then make sure to check the link in the description box for that as well. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.